I'm 33, male, and I work as a software developer. I've always been a bit of a homebody. My apartment, while modest, has been my sanctuary. It's where I unwind after work, play video games, and occasionally host friends for poker nights. I'm not flashy, not overly ambitious, and honestly, I like my routines. So when I proposed to my fiancée 6 months ago, I thought life was about to get better. Someone to share my little world with. But that world unraveled faster than I could have imagined. Let me set the stage. My fiancée, let's call her M, had always been into yoga, not just as a hobby, but as her entire personality. When we met, I thought her passion was admirable. She wanted to start her own business, teach classes, maybe open a studio one day. I was supportive, even impressed by her drive. I didn't realize how that ambition could turn toxic. About 3 months ago, Em started dropping hints about needing more space. It's hard to teach at the gym, she'd say. Or, I wish I had a place to host small classes, just for my friends. At first, I thought she was just venting. But then she began eyeing my bedroom. She said one evening as we were watching TV, if we moved your bed to the guest room and got rid of some of your stuff, this could be the perfect yoga space. I laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. The guest room she was referring to was a tiny, windowless box that barely fit a twin bed. It was where I kept some old books, workout gear, and random storage. My bedroom, on the other hand, was spacious, with large windows and a view of the park. You're serious? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. It's practical, she said, brushing off my concern. We're going to share everything when we're married anyway. Why not start now? Her tone was casual, but something about the way she said it irked me. Still, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I told her I'd think about it and change the subject. But Em didn't drop it. Over the next few weeks, she brought it up constantly. She even started showing me mood boards she'd made, soft pastels, meditation cushions, incense holders. At first, I thought it was cute how invested she was. Then she started inviting her friends over to visualize the space. They'd walk around my bedroom, commenting on the lighting or how many yoga mats could fit. It felt invasive. I finally put my foot down one night after dinner. Em, I said, I'm not comfortable turning my bedroom into a yoga studio. It's my personal space, and I need it to stay that way. Her reaction stunned me. You're being selfish, she snapped. This isn't just about you anymore. We're a team. I'm trying to build something for us. For us? I shot back. This is about your yoga business. I've supported you every step of the way, but I'm not giving up my bedroom for it. That's when things took a darker turn. A week later, I came home from work and noticed something was off. My bed, dresser, and desk were gone. The room was completely empty except for a couple of yoga mats and a speaker in the corner. I stormed into the living room, where Em was sitting with her laptop. What the hell happened to my stuff? I demanded. She didn't even look up. Relax. It's in the storage unit downstairs. I thought this would help you see how great the space could be. I couldn't believe her audacity. You had no right to touch my things. Stop being dramatic, she said, rolling her eyes. It's just furniture. We can set it back up if you change your mind. That's when I realized she didn't see me as her partner. She saw me as an obstacle. Someone to be managed, manipulated, overridden. I spent the rest of the night moving my stuff back into the bedroom, fuming. I told her that if she ever pulled something like that again, we were done. She acted remorseful for about a day, but her true colors showed soon enough. The final straw came 2 weeks later. I was out running errands when my landlord called. He told me that someone claiming to be my fiancée had inquired about breaking my lease early. She told him we were planning to move into a larger space and wanted to know the penalty for leaving before the contract was up. I was livid. Not only was she trying to take over my apartment, but she was now scheming to get rid of it entirely without even consulting me. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. I'm thinking about our future, she said defensively. This place isn't big enough for what we need. You'll thank me later. That was it. I told her the wedding was off. You can't be serious, she said, laughing like it was a joke. I've never been more serious in my life, I replied. She tried to argue, to guilt me, but I was done. I packed her things that night and told her to find somewhere else to stay. But she didn't leave quietly. For the next few weeks, Em launched a full-blown campaign to make my life hell. She showed up unannounced, demanding I reconsider. She called my family, painting me as the villain who'd abandoned her for no reason. She even tried to turn some of my friends against me, telling them I was controlling and unsupportive. The worst part was when she posted a long rant on social media, accusing me of sabotaging her dreams and being a toxic partner. She tagged me, ensuring all our mutual friends would see it. At first, I considered ignoring her antics. But then I realized she wasn't just trying to hurt me. She was trying to ruin my reputation. So I fought back. I gathered screenshots of every manipulative text she'd sent me, every overstep she'd made. I wrote a detailed, factual post explaining my side of the story, complete with evidence. I was careful not to stoop to her level. No name-calling, no personal attacks. Just the truth. The response was overwhelmingly supportive. Mutual friends who had been on the fence reached out to apologize. Even some of her friends admitted they'd had doubts about her behavior, but hadn't wanted to interfere. But the real justice came when I discovered that she'd been running her yoga classes illegally, without the proper permits. A quick call to the local zoning office confirmed that she needed special approval to operate out of a residential space. I reported her. The city shut her operation down within a week. She was slapped with a hefty fine and a warning that any future violations could lead to legal action. The fallout was brutal for her. Without a space to teach, her business dreams crumbled. Her friends, who had been her biggest supporters, started distancing themselves once they saw the lengths she'd gone to manipulate me. As for me, I changed the locks on my apartment, blocked her on every platform, and focused on rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. I lost a fiancé, trust in people, and a lot of peace of mind. But I also learned something invaluable. Boundaries are non-negotiable, and anyone who tries to bulldoze them doesn't deserve a place in your life. So yeah, that's how my bedroom almost became a yoga studio, and how I dodged a lifetime of being steamrolled. Honestly, the weeks that followed felt surreal. It was like I was piecing together a puzzle I hadn't realized I was missing. I started reflecting on our entire relationship, and all the red flags I'd ignored came into focus. Like how she would dismiss my opinions whenever they didn't align with hers, or the way she subtly undermined my hobbies, calling them childish or unproductive. I'd always brushed it off as personality quirks, figuring no one was perfect. But looking back, I realized it wasn't quirks, it was control. She wanted things her way, always. The yoga studio fiasco was just the breaking point. One incident from a few months before stood out. She had casually mentioned wanting to handle our wedding finances, claiming she was better with money. I'd initially agreed because it seemed logical. She was meticulous and detail-oriented. But when I'd asked to see the budget, she got defensive. It turned into an argument where she accused me of not trusting her. At the time, I backed down to keep the peace. Now, I wondered what else she had been hiding. Curious, I decided to go through some of the shared files we had on a cloud drive for wedding planning. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Maybe some leftover guest lists or contracts. What I found made my stomach turn. In one of the folders, I discovered a series of emails she'd been sending to her friends, discussing plans to upgrade our living situation after the wedding. She wrote things like, "Once we're married, I'll have more leverage to convince him to sell the apartment. And he doesn't realize it yet, but this place is going to be the foundation for my business. He'll come around eventually." The entitlement was staggering. She wasn't just planning our life together. She was planning my life for me without my consent. I decided to dig deeper. I reached out to the storage unit where she claimed to have moved my furniture during the yoga stunt. They had no record of her renting a unit. My heart sank as I realized she'd lied. She'd probably thrown out or donated my belongings without even consulting me. The next day, I filed a police report for the missing items. I listed every major piece of furniture and any valuables I could think of, including some old tech equipment I hadn't seen since she cleared out my room. The officer who took my statement was sympathetic and advised me to consider a civil suit if the items weren't recovered. It didn't take long for karma to catch up with her. About 2 weeks later, I got a call from a local thrift store. Apparently, someone had tried to sell several pieces of furniture matching the description I'd given the police. The store owner got suspicious because some of the items still had my initials carved into them, a habit I'd had since college. The police got involved, and M was caught red-handed trying to offload my belongings. She was forced to return everything she hadn't already sold or face charges for theft. That's when I decided enough was enough. I filed a small claims case against her for damages, including the fines she'd racked up for her illegal yoga business, the cost of replacing any furniture she'd sold, and emotional distress. My lawyer was confident we had a solid case, especially with all the evidence I'd collected. During the hearing, she tried to play the victim, claiming I was doing this out of spite because she'd called off the wedding. The judge wasn't buying it. Between the emails, the police report, and the testimonies from my landlord and the thrift store owner, it was clear she'd overstepped every boundary imaginable. The judgment was swift and satisfying. She was ordered to pay restitution for the missing items, cover all court fees, and issue a formal apology. While the money didn't completely erase the stress she'd caused, it was a vindication that her entitlement had consequences. In the months that followed, I started to rebuild, not just my apartment, but myself. I focused on hobbies I'd neglected, reconnected with friends who'd seen through her facade long before I did, and even started therapy to process everything. The best part? My apartment is still my sanctuary, and no one will ever take that away from me again. So, if you're ever in a situation where someone tries to bulldoze your boundaries, remember this. Stand your ground. People who truly care about you will respect your space, literally and figuratively. And hey, if you like this wild ride of a story, hit subscribe. Because next time, I might tell you about the time my ex tried to convince me that prenups were unromantic. Spoiler alert, I dodged that bullet too.